The night was quiet, but something heavy was in the air, like the whole town was waiting for trouble. A cold wind moved across the empty road, carrying dust, leaves, and the smell of rain. The road lights flickered weakly, making long shadows on the ground. And in the middle of that lonely highway stood one old broken car, Marcus's car, known by the town as the Ghost. Marcus sat inside the car with his calm eyes and slow breathing. He was a black gentleman with a deep voice and a quiet style. People around town said Marcus never talked much, but when he did, everyone listened. Tonight, he looked like a man waiting for something. Or maybe someone. The Ghost looked like a car that should have died years ago. The paint was scratched, the headlights were dim, and the engine made a soft growl like an old dog waking up from sleep. But Marcus treated it with respect, gently tapping the steering wheel with his fingers. He whispered, "Old friend. Tonight we run again." Down the road, the sound of a loud engine broke the silence. A red Ferrari came into view, shining like fire in the dark. Everyone in town knew this car. Everyone knew the man inside it, Vincent, the rich, arrogant millionaire, who loved to make fun of other drivers. He raced not for fun, but for ego. He liked to humiliate people. Racing was his way of feeling powerful. Vincent pulled up beside Marcus and lowered his window. His smile was wide, but it wasn't friendly. It was the smile of a man who believed money could buy everything: speed, respect, victory. Well, Vincent laughed loudly. What do we have here? A broken car and a dreamer behind the wheel? Marcus turned his head slowly. Even dreams can outrun a fool, he said in a calm voice. Vincent laughed louder, shaking his head. You outrun me? In that? He pointed at the Ghost like it was trash on the ground. My Ferrari is yours if you pass me in that wreck. People from nearby shops and houses came outside, forming a small crowd around them. Some whispered in fear. Some whispered in excitement. Everyone knew Vincent never issued a challenge unless he was sure he would win. One old man in the crowd said softly, "This is not good. Marcus should walk away." A woman whispered, "But Marcus is not like other men. He never runs." A young boy asked, "Is he going to race? In that old thing?" Marcus didn't move. His face stayed cold, unreadable. The wind blew across his jacket, but he looked steady like nothing could shake him. Vincent leaned closer, mocking him. "Come on, legend," he said in a teasing voice. "Show me what that rust bucket can do." Marcus finally stepped out of his car. He stood tall, the streetlight glow falling on his strong features. His voice was deep and calm when he answered, "You talk too much." The crowd gasped. Marcus walked slowly to the front of the Ghost and ran his hand across the hood. It was not the car of a rich man, not the car of a show-off, but it was the car of a man with history. A man with skill. A man with something no money could buy. Confidence. He got back into the driver's seat. The Ghost shook slightly as he pressed the pedal. The engine roared a tired roar, but a powerful one. The sound surprised a few people in the crowd. Vincent revved his Ferrari, smiling like a king ready to crush a peasant. The two cars stood side by side. The air felt tight. The night felt dangerous. And everyone knew something big was about to happen. Marcus looked straight ahead, eyes focused on the dark road. He whispered only one line, "Let's see who really knows the road." The challenge was set. The race was coming. And the legend of Marcus was about to rise again. Marcus's eyes were calm, but inside, memories raced faster than any car. The streetlights blurred past him, and the wind whispered secrets from the past. No one in the crowd tonight knew the truth about Marcus. They only saw a quiet man and a broken car. But the real story was hidden behind those calm eyes. A story that had made him a legend in secret, years ago. Marcus had been the fastest driver anyone had ever seen. In small-town races, he was unstoppable. People called him the shadow of the streets because he could appear from nowhere, overtake any car, and disappear again without a trace. Sports cars, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, they all failed against him. Marcus didn't need money. He didn't need fame. He needed skill, focus, and a deep understanding of the road. But one night, during a race nobody talks about anymore, everything changed. A sudden crash had almost ended him. Some said Marcus had died that night, but he survived and walked away from the streets. The ghost, the old car now beside Vincent's Ferrari, was the only thing he took with him. It had survived the crash too, like it knew its driver would return one day. People in the crowd tonight whispered, sensing something unusual. "Do you see the way he moves?" said one man. "He's calm. Almost like he knows something we don't," replied a woman. Children pointed and stared. "Why does he look so confident?" Marcus adjusted his seatbelt slowly. His hands were steady. His eyes scanned the road ahead. But his mind was elsewhere, remembering every sharp turn, every dangerous shortcut he had ever learned. He knew this town better than anyone. Every corner, every hidden dip, every secret path, it was all in his memory. Vincent, on the other hand, had all the money in the world but none of this knowledge. He relied on his Ferrari's speed, its engine, its technology. Marcus knew raw power alone would never beat experience. He smiled slightly. Tonight, the world would see why skill always triumphs over arrogance. The night air was thick with tension. Marcus could feel it in his chest. He could hear the heartbeat of the town in the distance, the whispers of people, the murmurs of excitement. And then he saw it. The first curve ahead, a sharp bend that had ended many races before. Most drivers would take it wide and fast. Marcus would take it his way, a way that seemed impossible to others. The crowd didn't understand yet. They only saw the old car and the millionaire's red Ferrari. But Marcus's mind was replaying old races in his head, one after another. Each memory sharpened his focus. He remembered the feeling of the asphalt under his tires, the exact moment to brake, the perfect angle to take the curve without losing speed. Marcus had a secret. He could read the road like a story. Every turn, every slope, every dip, it whispered its secrets to him. Vincent laughed again, thinking Marcus was nervous. "You look scared, old man," he shouted. "This car will never beat mine." Marcus didn't reply. He never needed to. The silence was louder than words. People felt it. Something in the air shifted. The ghost, old and battered, seemed alive. Its engine growled quietly, ready to spring into action. Marcus's hands tightened on the steering wheel. For the first time, the crowd started to understand. Marcus wasn't just any driver. He was a man who had conquered streets, survived crashes, and returned with the knowledge that no car, no money, and no ego could match true skill. The streetlights reflected in his eyes as he whispered to himself, almost like a secret chant, "This is my road. My rules. My time." Vincent revved his engine one last time. The race was about to begin. But Marcus knew something Vincent didn't. The real legend wasn't in the Ferrari. It wasn't in speed. It was in the driver who had learned every secret of the streets and never forgotten them. And tonight, the world would see the legend rise again. The night held its breath. The crowd's whispers faded into silence, leaving only the sound of engines and the occasional gust of wind. Marcus sat behind the wheel of the ghost, calm and collected. Across from him, Vincent's Ferrari gleamed like a predator in the dark, its engine growling hungrily. The millionaire's smile was wide, arrogant. He believed victory was already his, ready to lose. Vincent shouted over the roar of his engine. Marcus didn't answer. He didn't need to. Silence was his weapon. The crowd felt it too. There was something about him that made people hold their breath, like they were witnessing the start of a storm. The signal was given. A flare of light, a loud bang from the starter, and the race began. Vincent shot forward instantly. The Ferrari's tires screeched against the asphalt as he accelerated, leaving sparks behind. He glanced at Marcus, expecting him to lag far behind. But the ghost moved slow at first, almost crawling. Vincent laughed, confident, mocking. "Pathetic," he shouted. "Move faster, old man." But Marcus wasn't rushing. He was watching. Every ripple in the road, every shadow, every bend, it spoke to him. He didn't need speed yet. He needed patience. The first turn approached, sharp and narrow. Vincent went wide, relying on power to push through. But Marcus knew the secret line, a hidden path that cut inches from the edge. A line only a few knew existed. The ghost surged forward. The engine growled as Marcus shifted gears with perfect timing. In one smooth motion, he took the impossible line. The crowd gasped. Even some who had laughed at him before began to whisper, "Is he serious? How is he moving so fast in that wreck?" Vincent's eyes widened. He hadn't expected this. He pressed harder on the pedal, tires screaming, but Marcus seemed untouchable. Every move Marcus made was precise, calculated. Every turn was a display of mastery. The wind whipped past Marcus's face, cold and sharp, but he felt nothing but focus. This was more than a race, it was a statement. Every part of the road was familiar to him, and he used it like an extension of his own body. The Ferrari's engine screamed behind him, but Marcus's calm voice whispered in his mind, control, precision, patience. Halfway through the first stretch, Vincent tried to overtake Marcus on the outside. The crowd shouted, some cheering for Marcus, others unsure what to expect. Vincent's Ferrari roared, overtaking the old car for a brief moment. But as he approached the next curve, Marcus's secret skill became clear. He took the inner line, hugging the asphalt perfectly, and accelerated like a ghost passing through shadows. Vincent's Ferrari skidded slightly on the curve, and he cursed loudly. The ghost passed him effortlessly, slipping into the lead. Impossible! Vincent yelled. That wreck how? Marcus didn't answer. He only focused on the road ahead. Every turn, every dip, every slope he remembered from years of racing. Experience had given him the advantage that raw power never could. The crowd was on its feet now. Some shouted Marcus's name. Some couldn't believe their eyes. They had come to see a millionaire show off, but now they were watching a legend. A man who had disappeared years ago was proving, in silence and skill, that nothing could replace mastery of the streets. Vincent's face twisted in anger. He pushed the Ferrari to its limits, but the car's power couldn't match Marcus's knowledge of the road. Every acceleration, every brake, every curve, Marcus was always one step ahead. The first stretch ended. Both cars slowed slightly as the road narrowed, preparing for the mountain's dangerous curves ahead. The ghost led by a small margin, but it was enough to shock everyone. Marcus glanced briefly in the rearview mirror. Vincent's eyes were burning with fury. Marcus whispered, almost like a secret to himself, "Let's see who really knows the road." And with that, he pressed the pedal again, disappearing into the darkness. The start of a legendary chase that no one would forget. The mountain road twisted like a snake, dark and dangerous under the night sky. Marcus's ghost glided through the shadows, engine growling quietly but powerfully. Behind him, Vincent's Ferrari roared like a beast, its bright red body cutting through the darkness. The millionaire's grin was gone. Now only fury and determination burned in his eyes. Vincent pressed harder on the gas, relying on the raw power of his Ferrari. Speed, money, and technology, he thought that was all he needed. "I'll crush him," Vincent muttered under his breath. "Nothing can stop me." Marcus didn't respond. He didn't need to. He wasn't racing with his engine. He was racing with his mind. Every curve, every slope, every narrow path, the road spoke to him. He read it like a book. He could sense the dips, The bumps, the perfect line to take without losing a second. Vincent tried to overtake Marcus on a sharp bend, his Ferrari hugging the edge of the asphalt. Sparks flew as the tires screeched. The crowd who had followed the race on phones and nearby hills shouted, some in fear, some in excitement. But Marcus was already gone from the outside view, slipping into the inner line with precision only a legend could manage. You can't beat power with skill, Vincent shouted, his voice raw with anger. But Marcus's calm smile said otherwise. Marcus remembered the small shortcuts hidden along this mountain. Routes that Vincent, no matter how rich or fast, would never know. He took one of them, barely wide enough for a car. The ghost hugged the rocky path, moving faster than it should, whispering along the cliffs as if the car and driver were one. Vincent followed blindly, anger blinding him. He misjudged a turn and had to brake hard, smoke rising from the tires. His Ferrari was fast, but Marcus's strategy was smarter. Each move Marcus made forced Vincent to react, to make mistakes, and to reveal his lack of true understanding of the road. Marcus's calm voice echoed in his own head. Mind over money. Patience over power. Always see the road. The crowd on the hills leaned forward, seeing the impossible. An old car outsmarting a millionaire's Ferrari. People shouted, pointing, gasping, and some even dropped to their knees in disbelief. Marcus wasn't just leading, he was teaching a lesson in humility, skill, and respect for the streets. Vincent's hands shook on the wheel. His Ferrari had all the bells and whistles money could buy: traction control, top speed, aerodynamics, but none of it mattered against Marcus's experience. Every gear shift, every brake, every angle Marcus took was calculated, perfect. Marcus didn't push his car beyond its limits. He pushed the road to his will. A sudden bend appeared, sharper than the previous ones. Vincent saw an opportunity to overtake, thinking Marcus would slow down. But Marcus already knew. He accelerated at the exact right moment, hugging the inside line, shaving inches off the curve, his ghost sliding like a shadow. Vincent's Ferrari couldn't match it. Impossible. Vincent screamed, his voice cracking. How does he do it? Marcus glanced briefly in the rearview mirror. Vincent was still trying, still struggling, still blinded by ego. Marcus's eyes narrowed. Tonight, Vincent would learn that money could never replace knowledge. That power without skill was useless. The mountain stretched ahead, dangerous and narrow. Sparks from rocks under Vincent's Ferrari lit the dark road like fireworks. Marcus's ghost seemed untouchable, a phantom gliding in silence. The lead was small, but it was enough. The lesson was clear. Marcus wasn't just racing to win, he was racing to show the difference between arrogance and mastery. And as the night deepened, the silence of the ghost, the roar of the Ferrari, and the tension of the road merged into a single truth. Mind always beats money when the streets belong to you. Marcus whispered, almost to himself. Let's finish this. My way. The chase continued, faster, sharper, more dangerous, as the legend began to leave the millionaire far behind. Step by calculated step, the mountain air grew colder. Mist rolled over the cliffs, curling around the narrow road like a ghost. Marcus's ghost moved like a shadow, quiet and steady. Behind him, Vincent's Ferrari screamed in frustration, its engine straining against the bends. The millionaire's face was twisted with rage. He had underestimated Marcus. Now he was desperate. Vincent was not used to losing. He didn't just race to win, he raced to dominate. Seeing Marcus outsmart him on every turn was a blow to his pride. His Ferrari roared past a sharp bend, tires squealing against the asphalt. He planned to block Marcus, forcing him off the road. Marcus sensed it before it happened. His instincts were sharp, honed over years of racing. Every shadow, every stone, every curve, he read it like a map. Vincent thought he could trap him, but Marcus knew the road better than any cheat. Vincent's Ferrari edged dangerously close. Sparks flew as metal brushed metal, tires grinding against the rocky wall. The crowd who had followed the race from the hills held their breath, frozen in horror. One false move and disaster would strike. Marcus's calm voice was steady in his mind. Stay focused. Outthink him. He can't match your mind. With a smooth, almost effortless motion, Marcus steered the Ghost into a narrow, hidden path. The road was tight, barely wide enough for one car. Vincent didn't notice the turn in time. His Ferrari skidded slightly, throwing him off balance. For a moment, it seemed like Vincent's plan had worked almost. But Marcus had planned for this. The Ghost hugged the cliff's edge perfectly, the tires gripping rocks and asphalt like an extension of his own body. Vincent's Ferrari was fast, but raw speed could not compete with perfect control and years of experience. The crowd gasped. Marcus's calm demeanor contrasted sharply with Vincent's desperate yells. Move! Move! I'm giving you everything! Vincent shouted, pushing his car beyond safe limits. Marcus whispered quietly, You want power? Take a lesson in skill. The mountain twisted sharply ahead. Marcus took the inner line, shaving inches from the cliffside, while Vincent tried to follow the outside. A small rock tumbled under Vincent's tire, forcing him to swerve. The Ferrari lost speed for a critical second, enough for the Ghost to pull ahead. Vincent's face was red with fury. He had tried to cheat, tried to trap Marcus, but every move was anticipated. The Ghost moved like water, sliding through the dangerous turns with smooth precision. Vincent's Ferrari screamed, but it could not keep pace with Marcus's calculated flow. The crowd shouted now, some in disbelief, some in awe. They had come to see a millionaire show off, but what they witnessed was something far greater. A man who had mastered his craft, who understood the road and its secrets. Marcus wasn't just racing, he was teaching, demonstrating that arrogance and money alone could never win. Marcus's hands were steady, his focus unbreakable. He had seen this road hundreds of times. Every shadow, every bend, every hidden trap, he knew it. Vincent could cheat all he wanted, but Marcus had anticipated it. Every attempt to block, every reckless push of the Ferrari, was countered with calm precision. And then came the final curve before the cliff's edge. Vincent tried one last desperate move, aiming to push Marcus off balance. But Marcus anticipated it. With a perfect shift, a subtle brake, and a turn sharper than anyone thought possible, the Ghost slipped through the corner, untouchable. Vincent's Ferrari skidded, tires screeching, sparks flying, barely saving itself from disaster. The crowd erupted. Gasps, shouts, and whistles filled the mountain air. Marcus didn't celebrate. He didn't need to. He only smiled slightly, eyes focused on the road ahead. The trap had been set, the challenge answered. Vincent had shown his greed and arrogance, but Marcus had proven that mastery, patience, and intelligence always win. Marcus whispered, almost to himself, Patience beats power. Mind beats money. As the road straightened into the next stretch, the gap between the two cars widened. Vincent's anger boiled, but Marcus's calm, skillful control left him powerless. The trap was broken, the lesson delivered. And the legend of Marcus grew even stronger in the hearts of those who watched. The night was far from over. But one thing was clear. Marcus was not just a man in a car, he was the master of the road. Untouchable and unstoppable, the road ahead opened into a long, winding stretch that disappeared into the darkness like a black ribbon. Marcus's Ghost hummed steadily under him, tires gripping every inch of asphalt. Behind him, Vincent's Ferrari roared louder than ever, engine screaming, lights cutting through the night like a predator hunting its prey. But Marcus didn't flinch. He didn't even glance back. His eyes were locked on the road ahead. Vincent's face was twisted with rage. Every move Marcus made had humiliated him. His Ferrari's raw power had failed him again and again. Now in the final stretch, he poured everything he had into the machine speed, aggression, and desperation. "This ends tonight," Vincent yelled, slamming his hands on the wheel. But Marcus had already anticipated it. He wasn't racing with fear. He wasn't racing with anger. He was racing with control. Every gear shift, every turn, every slight adjustment of the steering wheel was calculated. The ghost responded like a living creature, alive with Marcus's skill, moving like a shadow across the road. The first curve came, sharp and narrow. Vincent tried to take the outside line, pushing the Ferrari to its limit. Tires screamed. Sparks flew as he scraped the cliffside. Marcus took the inner line, hugging the asphalt perfectly, every inch measured, every motion precise. The ghost surged forward like it was gliding on invisible rails. "Impossible!" Vincent shouted, eyes wide. "How can this car, how can he?" The mountain seemed to whisper Marcus's name. Years of experience, decades of knowledge, countless secret paths. The road was his ally. Vincent had speed, money, and power, but Marcus had mastery. He didn't need the Ferrari's tech. He didn't need luck. He only needed his mind, his hands, his eyes, and his ghosts. The crowd on the hills could see both cars, tiny against the darkness. Vincent's Ferrari was like a bright flash, but Marcus's ghost moved with ghostly precision, navigating curves, dips, and slopes with perfect control. Every time Vincent pushed hard, Marcus responded with calm exactness, slipping through paths Vincent couldn't see, predicting every desperate move. Ahead, the road narrowed dangerously. Cliffs on one side and sheer drops on the other. Vincent's desperation peaked. He floored the pedal, tires burning, engine roaring like a beast. Sparks shot off the rocks as he scraped the edge. But Marcus anticipated it. He adjusted, accelerated, and glided past the final dangerous bend, leaving Vincent fighting for control. The final straight stretched before them. Marcus could see the finish line far ahead, a blur in the darkness. Vincent pushed beyond safe limits. The Ferrari's engine screamed, smoke rising from overheating tires. But Marcus didn't push recklessly. He flowed with the road, smooth, calculated, untouchable. The crowd's excitement reached its peak. Gasps, shouts, whistles, and cries filled the air. Marcus was not just leading, he was teaching a lesson. He had shown that arrogance, money, and raw power could never outsmart patience, experience, and skill. Vincent's Ferrari tried one last desperate surge. He was faster, yes, but reckless. One wrong move on this final stretch, and disaster awaited. Marcus stayed focused, letting Vincent's desperation work against him. The ghost responded to every command like an extension of Marcus himself. Then came the final curve, the last dangerous bend before the finish line. Vincent misjudged it. His Ferrari skidded, tires screeching, almost tipping into the abyss. Marcus took the inside line, perfect as always. The ghost shot forward, crossing the finish line first. The crowd erupted. People screamed, cheered, and some fell to their knees in awe. Vincent's face was pale, shock and anger battling in his eyes. He had given everything, money, power, skill, and still. Marcus had won. Marcus slowed the ghost, engine humming quietly. He glanced at Vincent in the rearview mirror. No words, just a calm, quiet stare. Respect was implied, not demanded. Marcus whispered softly to himself, almost like a secret. Control beats chaos. Skill beats power. Legends never stop. The night was silent again, but the legend of Marcus had grown. A man with an old car, quiet confidence, and unmatched skill had reminded the world. The streets belong to those who respect them, not those who think money can conquer everything. The finish line was just ahead. The night air carried the smell of burning tires, gasoline, and tension. Marcus's ghost glided over the asphalt like a shadow, its engine a low growl, steady and controlled. Behind him, Vincent's Ferrari roared in frustration. Red paint gleaming, headlights piercing the darkness, But the machine alone could not make up the gap. Vincent's face was a mask of fury and disbelief. He had poured everything into the car: money, power, speed, but none of it mattered. Marcus had predicted every move, every desperate swerve, every reckless attempt. The millionaire realized too late that he had underestimated the man behind the ghost. "Move! Move!" Vincent shouted, hands gripping the wheel like claws. "I'll crush you." But Marcus didn't flinch. Calm ruled him like a second heartbeat. His eyes scanned the road ahead, every crack in the asphalt, every shadow of rock on the edge of the cliff. Experience guided him, memory steered him, and instinct completed him. This was not a race of speed alone, it was a duel of skill, patience, and respect for the road. The final curve loomed a tight bend with cliffs on one side, sheer drops on the other. Vincent pushed the Ferrari harder than ever, tires screaming, sparks flying from the rocks as he tried to force the lead. But Marcus anticipated it. He hugged the inside line perfectly, tires gripping the asphalt like claws. The ghost sliding with supernatural precision. The crowd on the hills erupted into chaos shouts. Gasps, cheers, and disbelief all colliding into one roar. Marcus wasn't just leading. He was untouchable. A man in perfect harmony with his car, the road, and the night itself. Vincent's Ferrari, all raw power and wealth, could not touch him. Every desperate surge was countered. Every reckless acceleration neutralized. Vincent's mind raced. He had everything he needed to win, yet here he was, being outclassed by a man with an old, battered car. Rage boiled in him, but Marcus's calm, unshakable focus made him feel powerless. The millionaire realized a harsh truth. Money could not buy respect. Speed alone could not beat mastery, and arrogance could not defeat a legend. The finish line drew nearer. Marcus shifted gears smoothly, flowing over the road like water, every movement precise, effortless yet calculated. Vincent tried one final burst, the Ferrari screaming like a wild animal, pushing beyond safe limits. Tires smoked, engine groaned, but it was not enough. The ghost surged forward. Crossing the line first, the mountain erupted in cheers. The crowd screamed Marcus's name, some falling to their knees, some punching the air, all in awe. Vincent's Ferrari skidded to a stop behind him, tires smoking, engine whining, a defeated roar fading into the night. Vincent stepped out of his car, chest heaving, face pale with disbelief. He had underestimated Marcus, humiliated himself in front of everyone, and learned that skill, experience, and patience could not be bought or forced. Marcus stepped out of the ghost, calm as ever. His eyes met Vincent's, steady and unyielding. No words were necessary. Respect was earned, not demanded. The lesson was clear. Arrogance and money could never match true mastery. Vincent's shoulders slumped. Slowly, reluctantly, he handed the Ferrari keys to Marcus. Silence fell over the crowd as Marcus took them. He smiled faintly, not out of greed, but because he had proven something far more important. "Keep it," Marcus said softly, voice calm but firm. "I didn't race for the car. I raced to remind you. Respect the road. Respect the people." Vincent swallowed hard, nodding. There was no shame in defeat for Marcus, only a quiet dignity that Vincent could never take. Marcus returned to the ghost, slipping into the driver's seat like he belonged there. Engine growling softly, he drove off into the night, leaving sparks of legend behind him. The crowd watched in awe. Knowing they had witnessed history, the night a man in his old car reminded the world what it truly meant to be a legend. The road ahead was dark and empty, but Marcus didn't care. The streets, the mountains, the curves, they all belonged to those who understood them. Money, speed, and arrogance would fade. But mastery, skill, and respect, those lasted forever. And tonight Marcus proved it.